My name is Clara Millie, and this is my story. I never thought I'd be the kind of person to share a near-death experience, let alone one that would completely alter my view of the world, but here I am. What happened to me was no coincidence, no fluke. It was meant to wake me up and, I believe, to warn others about the times we're living in. It all began on an October night in 2023. The air was crisp, the leaves were crunching underfoot, and I had just come from one of the best evenings of my life, my grandchildren's school play. My grandson Tommy, just 7, played a very convincing talking tree, and my 9-year-old granddaughter, Sarah, was the star of the show as the lead fairy. Watching their faces light up on stage filled me with such pride. The drive home was calm, almost too calm. A light drizzle coated my windshield, the streets were mostly empty, and the dashboard clock blinked at me, 9:47 p.m. I remember turning up the heat in my car and smiling to myself about the way Sarah had twirled on stage. I didn't know that moment of peace would be my last conscious memory. As I reached for the dial, a sudden, excruciating pain shot through my chest. It felt like someone had placed a boulder on me, and I couldn't breathe. My hands gripped the steering wheel instinctively as the car veered off the road, skidding into a ditch. And then everything stopped. I didn't feel fear or confusion. Instead, it was as if I had shed my physical body like an old coat. Suddenly, I was outside of myself, looking down at the wrecked car and my lifeless form slumped in the driver's seat. There was no pain, no struggle, just a strange sense of freedom. The world around me shifted. I was no longer on the side of the road, but in a space that defies explanation. It wasn't earth and it wasn't heaven, not yet. Everything was bathed in light, a light so alive it seemed to hum with energy. Colors surrounded me, vibrant beyond description. Hues that don't even exist here. And then I heard it, "Clara!" The voice was gentle but powerful, as if it carried the weight of galaxies. I turned and saw him, an angel, magnificent and radiant, his presence overwhelming yet comforting. He was nothing like the cherubs you see in paintings. His eyes seemed to hold eternity, and his very being exuded strength and peace. "Fear not," he said, and I instantly felt calm, though I still had no idea what was happening. He reached out his hand, and suddenly we were moving, not walking, not flying, just moving through a corridor of light. Time seemed irrelevant, and yet I knew that what I was being shown was urgent. "What you see," the angel said, "is not just for you. It is for all who will listen." Before me appeared a vision of the earth, but it wasn't like the planet we know. A thick darkness was creeping over it, like a suffocating fog. Yet, scattered across the globe were tiny, radiant points of light. They were small at first, but grew brighter the longer I watched. "These are the faithful," the angel explained. "Those who pray, who worship, who remain steadfast. They are the light that pushes back the darkness." Then, the scene shifted, and I saw churches, beautiful buildings filled with people. But as I looked closer, I realized many of them were simply going through the motions. Their worship was empty, their prayers hollow. "They honor me with their lips," I heard the Lord's voice say, "but their hearts are far from me." Tears filled my eyes, but then something incredible happened. A wave of awakening began to ripple across the earth. It wasn't confined to church walls. It started in living rooms, workplaces, and schools. People were falling to their knees, overwhelmed by the presence of God. "It will not be as it has been before," the angel said. "This awakening is different. It will be sovereign, unstoppable." The vision shifted again. I saw a massive clock, but instead of numbers, it displayed events, wars, natural disasters, moments of great deception. Each one was perfectly timed, unfolding according to God's plan. And then, I saw something that broke me. Countless souls, walking as though in a trance, believing they were saved but had no real relationship with Jesus. They knew of him, but didn't truly know him. "Tell them," The angel said, his voice firm yet sorrowful, "Tell them it is not enough to go through the motions. They must surrender fully." The vision grew darker. I saw persecution rising, not sudden or violent at first, but subtle, almost unnoticeable. Believers were excluded, mocked, and marginalized. Over time, it escalated, and I watched as many fell away, unable to withstand the pressure. But those who remained? Oh, how they shone! They stood firm, their faith unshaken. They carried a mark of protection, a light that the darkness could not overcome. The angel showed me the power of prayer. I saw how each prayer rose like a beam of light, joining with others to form an impenetrable barrier against the darkness. Even the simplest prayers, uttered with faith, carried immense power. Next, I was shown the young, the next generation. They were fearless, unshaken by the lies of the world. They clung to the truth with an intensity that brought others to their knees in repentance. These young warriors would lead a revival unlike anything we've seen. The angel then turned to me and said, "There is more." I was shown families being restored, communities growing in unity, and ordinary people, teachers, nurses, laborers, carrying God's presence into every corner of society. I saw miracles, bodies healed, addictions broken, relationships mended. But I also saw the cost. Faithfulness would require sacrifice. Standing for truth would come with a price, yet those who endured would experience God's power in ways that defied explanation. Finally, I saw the return of Jesus. The sky split open, and his presence was undeniable. Those who had prepared their hearts rejoiced, while others cried out in regret. Suddenly, I was back in my body. The paramedics were stunned. They told me I had been clinically dead for 13 minutes, but here I was, alive and completely unharmed. I know I was brought back for a reason. The message I've shared with you isn't just a story, it's a warning and a call to action. Time is short, shorter than we realize. We must prepare our hearts, know God's voice, and stand firm. The question is, will you be ready when He comes?